Well, it's not Friday. Do you know why it's not Friday? Well, I'll tell you. Well, it's a blizzard. This doesn't probably look like much to you, which is understandable. You can't really see the snow. But this is only the beginning of the snow. It's supposed to really kick in through tonight. And we have a lot. There's much snow. A lot more coming. But snow doesn't mean we can't talk about watches. So it's snowing. It's still snowing. I have a blister in my hand from, I don't know, I went nuts. Before the snow came, I had to do some reseeding in the backyard, and so I was trying to reseed and rake stuff together before the storm hit and get all this work done before the storm hit, and so I gave myself a blister. But I got all of the seed down, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, and by the way, people have often asked to look out the front window. Now's as good a time as any. So it's still snowing. By the time this video is published, it will still be snowing. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. When is it supposed to stop?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay. No, it's gonna be cloudy or something, right? Anyway, it's gnarly. It's like I saw like a Jeep go trucking by, and it was like boom, 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 boom. Then I saw a Subaru station wagon going the other way, and it was fishtailing. Not a day to be out driving. Long story short, I actually meant to do a video on Friday, but it's just been super busy. I can't even tell you all the stuff that's been going on. So it's Sunday. I have time, and I'm doing it. Oh, wrist check. Okay, so blizzard or not, here we are. So hey, I know for those of you who care or don't, there hasn't been any MG news for a long time. I'm starting to get pretty fired up about it, and I found this leather for the interior. I don't know that it can be used. I think it can. It's beautifully strong. But this is local deer leather from a wild deer from that a hunter took in, and it was tanned locally. It feels just beautiful. It's super stretchy, but you can tell it's wild. Like, look at that. That was a scar right there of this thing. But anyway, let's talk about watches. I have been just in love with this thing. This is a Laurier. Is it Laurier or Laurier? I wish I wish there was a way to find out. Anyway, but it's a beautiful watch. Has a Miyota 9015 in it. It's extremely accurate. It had no beat error. It keeps excellent time. Hacking, has a date. The lume is awesome. I'm going to do a whole review on this one. I picked this up secondhand, but basically brand new from the artist Brian Sindler, and he liked it, but he has several of these, and this is the one I liked the most, and I talked him out of it. I love it. There's just so much about it to love. I love the beautiful sort of pale cobalt blue. This isn't a black dial. That's sort of a blue, but then the indicator ring is actually a darker blue. Much darker, nearly black, but it has this high finish on the dial. It's just beautiful. It's a great size. I don't know what happened there. It's a great size, and it's just pleasant. It's a pleasant watch to wear. I have a few quibbles about it, but when the time comes for me to do my review of this one, then I will do it. But that's what we're wearing today for a snow day, and that's all that snow that's out there. Okay. Okay, good. Questions. Believe it or not, actually, I really like making these videos. I know that people are like, oh, you seem like you're really stressed and tired and all this stuff. And there's definitely some funky stuff going on. I mean, nothing terrible, but, it's a little bit of a stressful time. And it's with the end of Corona, hopefully, and all that other stuff. And now we've got this, and we've got all this financial stuff and the kids, and it's just busy. It's nice being able to sit here and speak with you folks. because it sort of, makes me feel like I'm interacting with other adults besides just Sabrina. Sabrina and I only ever got to talk to each other, but now I'm talking to you. Okay, this is a comment on a video of 6139 6002 restoration. Tom Clayton. Sir, nice video. Thank you. I have one of these I bought in Guam at the end of the Vietnam War. It ran until 1980. Being only in my 20s at that time, I didn't have a clue that it needed to be serviced. Well, I finally took it to a watch repair person. He examined it, charged me an examination fee. Honey, have I ever charged anyone an examination fee? No. This person stated, quote, "Sorry, won't touch it. Do you do these kinds of repairs as a business?" Yes, I do. I think it would be great to wear it again. I agree. Thank you. Mr. Clayton, yeah, no, I absolutely work on them. The 6139s are actually kind of the whole reason I'm still doing this, that I started doing this in the first place. But unfortunately, I am still totally booked for work. I've said this many times. I spent too much time saying yes to everybody and accepting every job. And by the beginning January of 2018, I had nearly 200 watch jobs in here, like physical watch jobs. We had to go buy a gun safe, a big one that's bolted to the floor, because there were so many jobs. I'm nearly at the end. I know I've been saying that for months, but I'm nearly at the end. When I get finished, I don't know that I'm going to start taking work immediately, because I'm a little burned out. Frankly, you know what? I want to go right now, especially looking at this snow. I want to go somewhere tropical. We haven't had a vacation in 3 years. Not a real vacation. I mean, even the last thing, which was a staycation, was basically just me working at my bench. So we haven't gotten out of here at all. But at some point, yes, we will definitely work with you. Okay, there are a number of comments now about the Bell-Matic Insomnia Watch number 4, which is a number of you were like, "I can't believe you sold that watch, or you're selling that watch." I love the watch. The watch is beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful watch. I'm extremely impressed with it. The restoration came out very well. It's a fantastic movement. It's lovely. It's in beautiful, beautiful condition, and accurate and nice. But I know me. I'll never wear it. Not for any other reason than the fact that it just sort of how it works, how the dial elements and the case works. It's sort of a taller, well, hang on a second. See, honey, I'm just as scattered as I ever was. Anyway, it is a beautiful watch. Gorgeous, gorgeous watch. But a few of the combination things that I love the look of doesn't actually look right to me on my wrist. It's a little tall for me. And the way that the dial elements work, it's pretty tight. But it's a beautiful watch. But I restored this one and I was like, I have to find a way to really wear this watch because I put so much work into it. And then I found a treasure. A treasure. There is a Bell-Matic model that not very many people know about. Maybe everybody knows about it, but I had forgotten. Here's a picture of this watch, and I'm super excited about this one. It's a 4006 6071. It's interesting because, okay, so I'm jumping here a little bit. Some of you may remember I was talking recently about one of the watches out of my projects drawers, this 7006. This sort of unusual, rare piece. The Bell-Matic dial is almost exactly the same as this. The looming's a little different, but it's the same thing. And it being with a 1 serial number on the end, I don't know. There's a rumor that, there's someone's theories, I don't know whoever said it, but that the 1 at the end of the dial code, casing code, whatever the heck it is, indicates potential sale to the United States PX system. I don't know if that's true, but I have seen a number of watches with that 1 final digit. that came from military sources.
Don't touch him.
You're the one who came to me. Any case, so we'll see. But that watch is coming. So my main reason, because I really only keep one of any particular model in my box. So I was sitting here having second thoughts and thinking about this Bell-Matic, this beautiful Bell-Matic, which frankly is too fancy for me. I like things that are weirder and lumpier and stranger looking. I don't know why. Maybe it just feels like it's more fitting for myself. But that's coming, and when that comes, I'm going to do a second Bell-Matic video, but that watch is staying here. I've actually been looking for one on and off for like 5-6 years. They're cool. You don't see them very often. Forbin Colossus talking about that Bell-Matic video at 6:43 bell sounds. It works. It does its thing. CMB, two weeks ago. Man, I'm sorry. Be interesting to see if you remove the date and the window frame. This is about the Bell-Matic. I had to do it. This watch is absolutely 100% entirely original, dial and everything, but the date window was a little scratched up, and I replaced it with one from a similar dial that dial had been reprinted, and so it really didn't have any value anymore, but the date window was great. And this entirely original dial now has an unmarred date window. The way I would say, I have a stunning aqua blue Bell-Matic dial, and some nitwit tried levering off the alarm ring, denting the edge of the day-date window frame. I've considered trying to remove it, but I'm not sure if it would damage the lacquer on the dial side. Love the 28th jewel, by the way. Yeah, you gotta have the 28th jewel. Those date windows, they're just they're sort of a friction fit, but really they're just glued in place. And so you just go to the back, and very carefully with something flat, you just basically push down on a couple different corners until it pops free. Swap it to the new dial. Use a little bit of extremely tiny amounts of of like a quick cure, like a cyanide cure, basically like a super glue, or very tiny amount of quick curing two-part epoxy. It just has to be held in place, and it doesn't take much to do that. But it came out great. Mauro Gomez. Hi Spencer, I am looking for a vintage quartz to get in my collection. Recently got a couple of Dress Seiko 7546s. What is your opinion on this movement? It looks very solid and serviceable, and the vintage looks of this dress model are very diverse, from crazy 70s to very classic and stylish ones. I'm thinking that if it is worth, take it to my watchmaker and service it and get a new crystal, gaskets, case refinish. Are there better options in vintage quartz? Thanks a lot. Best regards for you and your family. Well, thank you so much. Well, you know what? I actually... what are you doing? Mr. Ryan, another person, he had a question too about that touched on this, and it was about what's the best quartz movement in 7546, 7C, then 9F, and there was another one I forget which. Any case, but I wanted to talk about that. We can actually talk about that right now. Okay, so the 7546 movements, they're part of the family of 7545, 7546, 7548, 7549. Seiko, when they moved from the automatic high beat 6159 in the first tuna that they made, they went to the next top of the line model, which was the 7549. And this is a 7549 7000. This is Seiko's first quartz 600 meter diver. And that movement, the 7546 movement, here's a main plate and a wheel that just fell out. Seiko designed them. Typically, a lot of times products are just products and companies will crank them out. This is one of the few products I can think of where Seiko went and they started from the top. They made the best possible movement specifically to put in these big professional dive watches. I mean, and these aren't fashion pieces. I know people and have spoken to people who've used these commercial divers in the 70s and 80s that wore these things. And so Seiko started at the top. The most expensive models they had used this. And Seiko was so jacked about this movement, they moved it all the way down the line. So you can get the movement designed for a professional diver, high-end, super cool piece. You can get it in, mid-sized diver, something like this, 7548, 7000, which I need to restore. This was from Mr. Ryan. Hello, Mr. Ryan. There it is. But not only that, they basically made a huge series of watches that used this movement. I mean, this is a 7546. 7546, so it has day and date. And there's 7545, which is date only. But they're under the hood, they all have the same movement. I mean, this one it's one I restored, and I can't imagine anybody ever would have thought about it too much. It's one I restored out of my parts drawers, and this is a 7546. It's original bracelet and everything. But this watch, under the hood, with the difference of one jewel, that's it, one jewel. Oh, and the 7549 coil is totally covered in, it's basically sealed off from the environment, so it doesn't corrode. But that's not a big deal. But this thing has the same variable trimmer as this. It has the same all-metal wheels. It has the same basic jeweling, except for one jewel. And this is worth, you can get 7546s, 7545s. You can get them all day long on eBay for just not a lot of money. And they're beautiful watches. This watch has never been restored. It's been sitting in my drawers forever. Looks a lot like the 6306 Silver Wave, actually, that came out at this time. It's just, it's a beautiful watch. You can get a really super accurate timekeeper, get it serviced, and it will keep you going. Yeah, that's a nice watch too. I have a few of these, but one of the things that I'm thinking about, some people have also asked about. Ryan Walters, he asked a question, and I guess I'll jump into that now. He asked the question, okay, well, what's better, 7546, 7548, 7549, or the 7C movement? He asked about a couple other different movements beyond that, but I wanted to focus on those two. So the 754X movements, they were designed on the back of the 6309s. They used, in fact, very similar main plates, and like all of their calendar pieces will swap over. So this is a pretty burly piece. But Seiko made them from, late 1970s until the late-ish 1980s. But then in 1980, production started, honest production, true production started in 1985, but from 86 on to the very present day, more than 30 years, Seiko has been doing the 7C movements. 7C movements they're very robust, they're dependable. I bitch about them sometimes because of the way the movements are built. They're not like all metal like this 7C. They have their similar plate like this is made of a really hard, almost ceramic-like plastic, but they have more jewels than the 754X. They don't have the variable trimmer. Here's a 7813 circuit, and there's that variable trimmer right there. That means that you can this turns infinitely, and if you have a quartz tester, you can dial in a watch with one of these super tight accuracy. I mean super tight. And that's what the 754Xs have, even the least expensive ones. 7Cs, Seiko did away with that. These instead, they only have a wire. They have a couple exposed connections, and one has a plus by it, one has a negative. And so you can cut one, and it'll change it by that amount per day, I think. But once you cut it, that's it. You can't ever adjust it again. I don't know, that feels a little more disposable to me. But I will say, 7Cs are actually pretty darn accurate on their own. Maybe they don't need a variable trimmer as much because their architecture is solid, but I still wish they had one. Anyway, this is a completely original 7C43 7010. These were the successors to the 7548 7000s. The difference being, especially with these, what's cool is instead of having a snap-on crystal retaining ring, they actually have a screw-down crystal retaining ring like the Pro divers, like the 6159s and 7549 tunas. So they have a higher depth rating, and you don't have to worry about the case wearing out, which is cool. Anyways, this is entirely original. This is what good looks like. The main visual difference is that the hands here are white and black, painted two-tone, versus older school, shiny metal. People don't think about these too often, which is a shame, because they're beautiful watches. I love this one. This is great. And the nice thing is, I'm going to set aside a day to go through one of these because I have one. Where'd the ring go? Did it get dropped? Oh dear. I found one on eBay a while ago that was clearly in bad shape, and the gentleman I bought it from, he was not a watch person, but if this is what they look like when they're new, this is what they look like after they've been beaten pretty seriously and then badly restored. So I'm going to do a restoration video at some point where we take this thing apart and see how much we can clean it. See how it's like all the lume must have gone black, and whoever this old school watchsmith was went and basically painted over the markers and the hands. This like color, I see that from old school watchsmiths a lot. So when I go through this, we're going to be looking at the whole movement, how it works, and we're also going to see about cleaning this up, see how much better I can make it look, if at all. Anyway, but there's the screw down ring for the crystal. So rather than a snap fit, that you actually screw the crystal down and it's permanently, nicely seated down. Not permanently, but it's firmly seated down. So we'll see what I can do with that. Anyway, that's rambling, but hopefully it's useful. This is a quote on, this is a question or a statement on one of the Redune 6105 reissue watches. Remember I did those videos a while back. Intizamable. I always thought it was intermezzible, but I've never tried to say it before. I really don't like those end links. Plain brush would be so much better. Unfortunately, Steel Dive 2 took the same route on their SD 1970 links, and those are the ones I have, and it really disturbs the whole flow. End links are one of those devil in the details kind of things. End links can really make or break it. I think an end link being fancy is, unless it absolutely works with the watch, it can be a distraction. I like end links that are as complementary or as invisible as possible. I don't like flashy end links. There's no point. It's just a distraction to me. It seems, if the shape of your case is good, then the end links should, when filling that, complete that case look, and it would feel correct. I like, 6105s and like 6309s, whatever the heck it is. I like end links that don't stand out, but that continue the look of the case itself. So I'm with you entirely. Don't fall off, buddy. Sean Levine, as opposed to Avril Lavigne. I'm not a skater boy. I think I've skated once in my life. Oh, right. Like 3 years ago, I was going to buy you a longboard, and I totally forgot about it. I mean, I can get you one. It's snowing. No. All right. Anyway, Sean Levine. I've had very good luck with 4R movements. Okay, great. My most accurate is off by only a few seconds after 4 months of continuous wear. I trust the 4R more than the 6R15. Well, the problem is that I think the issues with the 4R and the 6R my opinion is that they're not they're not something related to that, the sub model for our 6R whatever. My personal belief is that it's related to intermittent QC failures at the factory level. That's just my theory. I don't have anything on that, because there doesn't seem to be any real rhyme or reason. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes I'll get a brand new movement from right from the parts distributor, complete movement, and it'll be jacked up right from there. So I mean, I've seen every single one of these modern ones that I've serviced. Every single one of these modern ones that I have serviced, 4R or 6R, that have had problems. In every case, it was because of bad lubrication. Seiko uses an automatic lubricating system because their stuff is built by machines, and if a number of these watches I've pulled apart are, they'd have the incorrect lubrication or not enough. Like I would find like heavy greasy blobs in there. Sometimes I found no lubrication at all. It was funky. But in every case, as far as I can remember, doing a full service on any one of those problematic movements, after the service they were fine. So the tech is great, the design is fine. The problem is the QC and the final steps. But how many millions of movements do they make a year? Okay. Jevgenij Ivanov. I really apologize if I butchered your first name. Hi. 7C43 or 7346 versus 8F with perpetual calendar, which is more robust and can be easily serviced. Absolutely, it's the 7Cs. No question whatsoever. They're simple and they're strong. They're only a three-handers. They don't have any wacky complications. They're a straight up three-hand quartz movement, and they were designed to be worked on. Now the 8F with perpetual calendar, I have a couple movements, and I've played with them, and they're neat. I wouldn't dare service one. It's not that I'm saying it's not really meant to be serviced, but they're twitchy. Like if you ever have to, I remember the first time I had to go and set the perpetual calendar. Man, it took me forever to get it right. They're great once they're there, but I think they might be more of they're also just a three-hand movement if the circuit's okay. But they're a lot more. They're a much later design than the 7C. So Seiko by that point had moved away from selling individual parts. Like I could find the movements, but individual parts in the past I haven't been able to. So 7C. Matt Svoboda.
Why do you keep saying it?
Well, no, it reminds me of something. Is there a vodka that's Svoboda? I think there's some drinkable product that has that name or something. I don't know. It rings a bell. I have a strong love-hate relationship with finding your channel. I love the videos. They're amazingly informative and really fun to watch. I'm astonished at both things. I'll never take that for granted. I'm glad you think so. I hate it now that I'm on a mission to buy these parts and try my hand at assembly. This is, by the way, he's talking about the Redune 6105. Do you have a link to purchase this watch? No, I don't. I'm not a gray market seller. I'm not. They either have it in stock or they don't. Do you have a link to purchase this watch? I want a Willard, which is a 6105, 8110 or 8119. But due to going back to college, my budget is limited. In your situation, honestly, with the quality that I saw from the Redune, because all those watches, the Redune and the Steel Dive and all that stuff, from what I've been able to understand, they're actually all made by one company who then they make the watches for these sub-brands and then sell it from there. But their quality's good. The nice thing about getting one of these 6105 homages is that they're extremely durable. They're replaceable. They're not terribly expensive. The case finishing is great. And the nice thing about having a watch like that is it has the looks that you like, but it's not you can wear it every single day. 6105s are worth stupid money. Stupid money. I mean, I realize I'm part of the problem, but what are you going to do? But 6105s, that makes it hard to wear them out in the world because they're worth so much money. So I'd go with the steel dive one. Okay, this is going to be interesting. I don't know if this is a name or what. Siofa GP. Okay, I hope I got that right. Hi, Mr. Klein. I'm asking for an opinion regarding a 6306 Scuba Pro 450. It has 682279 as a serial code. The dial code is 60. Your thoughts? Asking if it's genuine. Here's the problem with Scuba Pros. The only difference between a Scuba Pro 450 marked 6306 and just a regular 6306 is the Scuba Pro marking. That's it. I'm sure that there are people who've done their research who know what the date range might have been that these things were made. I'm pretty sure I've read something about that. I don't remember. They are massively faked. There are so many fake Scuba Pro dials out there. And if the only thing that separates a Scuba Pro 450 6306 and a regular one is that dial text, well, it's not the only thing because the price is hugely different. A real Scuba Pro, the real deal, I don't even know what they sell for now. You have to assume that if you see one in the wild, you have to assume that it's faked. You have to. The only way to tell is if you know the seller, if the seller is reputable, and really knows what they're talking about, if you can get secondary opinions to look at the dial. But I will tell you gotta really look at it. You gotta look at that printing. What?
The cat.
What about him?
I don't know. He's got this smug look on his face.
He's pissed off. What? I already fed you. What the hell? I've got your ears. Ear massage.
He doesn't like that.
He doesn't?
No.
He's not complaining. He's got kitty earwax in his fingers, in his ears.
Ew.
Yeah, now I have to wash my hands. Yuck.
Yuck.
So I wouldn't know if it was genuine. There's no way to know. You have to look at it, and you have to really look at it closely, and you have to know what you're dealing with. Basically, unless you are guaranteed that the thing is real, you have multiple outside opinions saying, yeah, this thing looks good to me. If the seller has a reputation that you can explore, then you can risk it. But man, if you're going to invest in something like that, which is, Scuba Pro 450, that's kind of top tier collector stuff. You have to make sure it's 100% real. You have to know for a fact what it is before you put money into it. You don't ever, ever, ever want to say, well, maybe it's real, throw money towards it. Because chances are you will be badly disappointed. That's all I have to say. Last one. Oh, I put this question out of place. Gary Downs just bought a 4006 6040. It's a Bell-Matic. Managed to work the alarm. Just such a nice watch. Bell-Matic's never, in the past, I was aware there was a group of collectors in the world who were like super pro Bell-Matic, and I looked at them, but my thing really was chronographs and divers, and that's all I've been doing for 8 years, really. And then, I don't know, maybe because I'm overworked and burned out and haven't had a break, something in my brain broke, and I became really interested in dress watches. And I have a lot of dress watches to restore, and I'm looking at them and like, these are really cool. And the same thing with the Bells. They always seem to me to be, I don't know, not that I disliked them, they just nothing about them that like really gripped me. But I like to say, and hopefully it's true, that I judge a watch by the quality of its condition of its movement. And Bell-Matics are just, they're world beaters. They're such beautiful watches. So beautifully made, and if you can get one in good shape, I mean, even now, Bell-Matics, they're so robust, and they're a pain to service. But once they're serviced, they're so strong and accurate, and they were a top shelf watch in their day, and even now today you can get them for cheap. A couple $100 for a Bell-Matic. Granted, most of them are not going to be serviced, and they will need service, and servicing them is kind of a pain in the ass, but they are worth it. They're worth it. I would call them, they're heirloom quality watches. They're just exquisitely made. People spend, you know, I have a 9F perpetual calendar, Grand Seiko. I traded with Mr. Ryan there. I'm sorry, just thinking about a bit from The Simpsons, and I was looking at the design of it, and it's an expensive watch, and the case finishing is exquisite, and it's just a jewel. The movement is nice. The 9F movement is nice, but Seiko's been making that level of quartz movement for almost 50 years. It's got temperature compensation. That's the big thing. But beyond that, I mean, Seiko made tons of movements back in the day that were as jeweled or more jeweled than that thing. I mean, there's the Seiko 7813 movement. Nobody knows about it anymore. No one thinks about it. Most people don't even know it exists. They're really nice quality. They're great, and they have a full trimmer. The 9F has just an incremental trimmer. You only get preset numbers of faster or slower. But like the 7813, it has a variable trimmer. You can dial that thing in so tight. So I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just I don't know where I was going with this, but the point being is that Bell-Matics are awesome. And I cannot wait for this 6071 to come in. 4006 6071, all black with the white Arab numerals. I'm excited, and it's gonna be cool. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Remember, blizzard's going, so might as well stay inside, relax, sleep. Don't be like Milo. Go to sleep. Okay, bye.